Hey guys, thanks for stopping by the studio today. Come on in, sit down, make yourself comfortable. I got a great topic today. This is for all the shredders and the hard duty heavy core guitar players, musicians and everything. And I want to talk about whether this is really relevant in the church or not. Now, this is a very interesting, hotly debated topic. I've seen this written all over the internet, plastered on musicians' forums. I've talked about it with other people on praise teams and with pastors. A lot of varied opinions, but I've come to one conclusion, and I basically want to tell you what I believe about it and what I think is really relevant. Now, let me preface, what I think doesn't really matter about what you guys think about it. But first of all, my guitar here and my t-shirt ought to explain everything about what I believe here. Deer Creek Audio, I'm a Kingdom-based studio. You can see the flying V, but note the halo over the V. So yes, definitely I think hardcore shredding is technically and certainly relevant in the church nowadays. Now let me preface a couple of things here. First of all, of course, obviously I own a Flying V guitar. Do I take it to church? It has been the rare instance that I've taken my Flying V to church, and there's specific reasons for that. Now, if I really thought it was the correct instrument to use in a situation, or that helped me produce my joyful noise, etc., or to help me play skillfully, which we are all instructed to do, then of course I would take it. However, what's in my heart, I believe, is really what's most important when you define shredding or soloing or etc. in the church here. Now, I also believe it's really what's in your heart is what's most important. Now, let me back up and preface that too. My personal belief is that playing on a praise team or playing in the church, you're leading praise and worship, that's exactly what you're doing. You're leading praise and worship first, and you're also supporting the pastor. Now, if the pastor feels that the shredding is out of place, then there's your answer right there. You need to follow exactly what your pastor says. You're not there to play for yourself. You're not there to put on a performance. You're basically there to help lead praise and worship, and you're playing for an audience of one or God. The reason I don't necessarily take my Flying V to church or in a praise and worship setting is because I feel that the guitar, although as great of a guitar it is, and a lot of times is too distracting. The V that I have is a gorgeous guitar. In fact, you may have seen it as some of the thumbnails and some of the other videos. It's a gorgeous white Flying V guitar. And I just feel that just draws too much attention to myself, and therefore I don't take it. I take a guitar that is really very suited for praise and worship, and that's a Fender Stratocaster. That's a nice sunburst guitar, and I have one that hooks up to MIDI. It allows me to play synthesizer effects. It's a great all-around versatile guitar, and so therefore that particular guitar I don't feel draws attention to itself so much as something a lot more flashy like a white Flying V. Now let me talk more about the specifics, about whether the actual shredding or soloing away or whether that's really appropriate in a praise and worship setting. Now, yes, we are instructed to play skillfully, and so if you can't shred, I wouldn't go for it. You need to play skillfully, and certain shredding skills do take a lot of practice and a lot of ability, a lot of God-given ability to perform. So if you can't play skillfully, then I would not attempt to go ahead and just start shredding. Now, I talked about playing from our heart. If we feel that we're playing to put on a show, or if we're playing for any other reason than the two reasons that I stated earlier, to lead praise and worship and to support the pastor, then that is something that we should not be doing in a church setting. Now, granted, I'm not talking about specials or a skill night or a show and tell kind of thing that you might have at a church, but I'm talking about in an actual corporate worship setting. I feel that your heart needs to dictate, and if your heart is pricked by a certain feeling that, hey, maybe this isn't right, then there's your answer right there. Now, your answer is going to be dependent upon the individual here. You may feel totally different in a totally different situation. However, if you feel that people are gravitating towards looking at the praise team and watching you as you play, I feel then that becomes a mistake. If you can solo or shred in the type of situation to where you are not creating attention to yourself, then that's fine. Now let me tell you, I've had the blessed opportunity to play with a lot of younger praise teams and a lot of other younger praise musicians, and in that situation, I was encouraged to go ahead and play as much as I could, as much as I was technically able to do, and to really get down and do some shredding. In that context, the mindset was that that's what they were wanted to hear as far as a praise and worship. The congregation was very young, and they were comfortable with that type of music, and it really helped to lead them in praise and worship. Would I play that same way amongst other people that might be a bit older? No, unless I felt that that was helping to lead them into praise and worship. So you want to follow the pastor's leading. You want to feel, you want to go from what your heart is leading you to do. And like I've said before in other situations and other videos, your job is to be invisible, so to speak, on the praise team, and you are there solely as a support role. You're in a ministry, you're not there for a show. Well, that's my opinion on the subject there. I believe that I have a clear conscience about it. The Holy Spirit instructs me that when I feel to go ahead and solo and it's appropriate and I'm not taking away from the worship experience, definitely I will go for it. Now, I don't want to just say this just strictly is for guitar players, because I think this applies to all instrumentalists and even vocalists, because you can shred on vocals, you can shred on keyboards, you can shred on a horn or even a bass guitar. So therefore, I think it applies to all musicians in a situation that you just need to go by your heart. What are you being led to do? But I'm bringing up the guitar player because I think when you think of shredding, you're thinking of shredding on the guitar. I hope that answers some questions. I hope you understand where I'm coming from, that there really is no right or wrong for me to tell you. You need God to tell you, and just as important, you need your pastor to tell you, because he is there to help the congregation to lead into praise and worship. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you next time on the next video.